Hey y'all, it's Umi Genevieve, laced in space, constellations on LSD. Thanks for tuning in. You could have been anywhere else, so you decided to be here with me. So always want to show gratitude, always want to show appreciation, always want to let you guys know that I'm glad that you're rocking out here with me. Thank you so, so much for allowing me to share this with you. Now, it's Gemini season. Yay! Gemini, so I wanted to talk all things Gemini, and I wrote some notes too, just so I could give you guys like the basis and to stay on track. So Gemini energy ruled by Mercury. Now Mercury is associated with the god Hermes, who was given a magic wand by Apollo. And this is why Geminis are very gifted with their hands, very big on do-it-yourself energy. And they're also great at writing, script writing, all forms of being able to express themselves through their hands. This can even go in through hairdressers, cosmetology, all forms, engineering, all forms of working with their hands. They're real big Bob the Builders in some capacity. And they're also they were given a magic wand. So they're also the messenger of the gods. They are the messengers to the underworld. Since if you put Scorpio at the rising, which rules the underworld, Hades, Gemini is in their 8th house. So just that basis there with them being the messenger and understanding depth. Geminis are the only ones that really can say and feel okay in saying some of the most heaviest and even some of the most negative, transformative things. So I just wanted to give that whole mythology behind that, right? So Gemini rising, having Gemini in the 1st house, Mercury in the 1st house. This makes you quite inquisitive. You also come off way younger than you are because mentally you're searching things physically through people. So Gemini risings, and just like their counterpart, Virgo risings, Mercury energies, can come off more youthful and have more of a youthful expression. People really can't guess their ages. And they're also very likely to connect and relate to younger people, since they can be so inquisitive and into different forms of information where they'll know the new songs, they'll know the new shows that just dropped, they'll know all the new trends, Gemini energy. And most air signs are really big in new trends, knowing what's going to be the new popularity things within the community, and are still connected to the youth since they're still social signs. And those are Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. Now, because of this Gemini rising, you are spontaneous. You wear your mind on your sleeve. So how you think, next. So that's why mutable energy, especially Gemini rising, can feel like a lot in life they are bored. They need something to stimulate them. They need someone to talk to. They need someone to text with. They need just some sort of energy to help them calm down their anxiousness. Now, since you have a Gemini energy on the rising, this just makes you a dominant. So since you are wearing Mercury on your sleeve, you are susceptible to your parents being and coming from parents who come from young love, teen love, mutable love, Mercury retrograde type of love. And you are susceptible to that as well. Now, with Cancer being in the 2nd house, Geminis actually really care about their emotional well-being. They're likely and most likely to invest in what makes them feel good. They're already anxious beings. So they need an energy that allows them to feel like, all right, I need to calm down. I need to relax a lot. So sometimes this can make them come off emotionally selfish. They prioritize their emotions. They may not always prioritize other people's emotions. And sometimes you can feel like when you're with Geminis, they can be talking more to themselves than talking with you, or listening more to themselves than listening to you. Remember, they're immutable, so they're going to learn a lot. And just like all mutables, they're going to learn a lot through their own mistakes, their own trial and errors. Leo in the 3rd house is very important for Gemini, especially during grade school and adolescent age. It seems like there's something that happens within these ages, like by the time they start school, from like kindergarten to the time they leave school, to like 18, 19 years old. These are important years for Gemini dominance. A lot happens and changes in their lives. A lot of it could be what lets them, like, keeps them centered there, and where they build a lot of their perspective there. And that's why I always try to push childhood therapy, childhood talk therapy, just spaces where they can express what was happening during these times, because that can really color a lot of how they think in their older life. And this is why Geminis can feel like they are still being treated like a kid, still being spoken to like a child, still operating in ways where they feel like they are childlike, naive. Also, with Leo being in the third house, this is energy that celebrates. So Gemini placements are very likely to have some sort of childhood gift, where people could have told them, like, you're going to be a star in this, you should do this every day, or in a childhood interest, hobby. And that's another reason why I try to push them going into childhood therapy, because this can open up spaces where they feel stuck from these ages. Like, I should have, like, especially when these placements are in young men, and they have Mars energy, they can be into athletics and sports. And if they never got to that NFL or that NBA or that NHL team, they can feel stuck there. That's why with these placements, if they do have like that Mars fire energy with mutable, I tell them to go become coaches. They might still even have a love for the sport in some capacity. So with Gemini energy, it's really important to help them keep up their hobbies as children. Let them express their hobbies and interests. Also, don't let them stay in something that is just so like singular, because if it doesn't work out, Gemini energy is mutable, where they can come into injuries or come into spaces where it's likely for an injury and they have to quit the game. So help them have other interests, other hobbies where they can identify with, so they don't feel like they're stuck in this period where they keep reliving in a state of perfectionism. Virgo in the fourth. Virgo in the fourth. I found that Gemini energies are cleaner and one of the cleanest out of the mutable energies, personally for me. They're most likely to have strong boundaries with family members and may feel like they need their own room, their own space, their own area in the house. They are highly critical and judgmental by nature. So Gemini energies will naturally have something to say, have an opinion. They're great at problem solving. So when you come into contact with them, be okay with the fact that they're like, you know what, you can do better in this. That's what they're here to do. That's how they're here to help you. So don't really take it by offense. Now, there can also be a lonesomeness with this Virgo energy, since Geminis are very particular and they can have very sporadic ways of thinking where they feel and ask themselves, should I be living with someone or not? Do they go through periods where they want stimulation, but they don't know at what level they want that stimulation from and based on physically coexisting? I want to talk to people, I want to be around people, but on what level and what area within my physical space? It can be a little troublesome for them. That's how they'll just do mutable things. They'll pop up on people, roll in on people, just come into spaces where they can build strong stimulation with others, but where they can also be flighty at the same time. Libra in the fifth. Just wanted to lift you. Libra in the fifth. Geminis find a lot of their fulfillment in others. They can't help but be interested in people. This place makes them serial daters or have multiple associates. And since this is the fifth house and Venus is here, Geminis have high probability to go into artistic abilities, and to also find creative measures to expressing themselves. They have a love of communication, a love of knowledge that can be very attractive to others. So again, even when you don't want to be around the Gemini, even when you feel like, oh shit, you're a Gemini, there's still such a strong likability there that you become connected to them anyway. They also find a lot of opportunities in their partnerships, even if it's just being mutable, being there at the right time, in the right place, being able to offer just a little bit of knowledge to open doors for them, or a little bit of how someone can expand their horizons, and they can be around the who's of who's because of this. And it's also important, since Leo's in this house, since Libra's in this house as well, that Gemini energies are conscious of the integrity in the background of people that they're sharing their energy with, because they may find that they help build people's dreams, help build people into better places, but they don't get to tag along, or they're not validated in the way that they feel like they need to be validated. Now with Scorpio in 6, Geminis can be quite intense in their everyday life. Geminis will use their 24 hours, especially if they're highly Gemini energy, strongly. Wake up by early in the morning and have done 20, 30, 40 things by the end of the night. Or have gone through different forms of ups and downs mentally by the end of the night. Also, since this is a sexual sign, intimate sign, Geminis can feel like when they come into personal relationships, how do they carry on that depth every day so they don't get bored? And this can open up where they go seek others to bring in such depth. So it'll be a Gemini that hangs out with you for 2 hours and you have unpacked so much with them, but then you don't see them till maybe next month again. So Geminis really need to come into the base of asking themselves, how do they really want to share themselves with people? And even back to the 4th house, how do they really want to relate to others? Where they don't feel like they're giving so much of themselves that makes them flighty, but where they also don't feel lonely and unappreciated because they don't want to extend so much of themselves. Since it's also sexual energy and they're looking for so much depth with other people, they can fall into this naiveness, this mutable energy that makes them a little impatient, clumsy. So Geminis have to be conscious of not sleeping or mating with people just on the whim. They're susceptible to flings, mental flings, physical flings. They're looking for depth. Depth on their lunch break. Depth at the grocery store. So they really need to be conscious of not falling into partnerships, relationships, connections on a whim of time and not knowing people for who they really are and now feeling bamboozled, or people feeling bamboozled by you. When evolved, this is a very big placement on routines. They are especially picky in what they want to consume. They are picky in the ingredients. And like I said before, I find Geminis to be way more germaphobes, picky, cleaner in what I've seen. And if Gemini and Virgo come together, get out of here. Let them make their stuff. Let them fix their stuff. Sag in 7th, Gemini attracts all walks of life. They attract them through every step that they take. So the Gemini that know someone from all different countries, they have high probability to be bilingual, trilingual. And if you add a little adventure to it, Gemini loves it even more. They'll enjoy people that wants to travel and have adventure with them. And they'll enjoy people who also give them a sense of freedom. So they'll want you to they'll not only want their own solo trips, but they'll want you to take your own solo trips as well. Express yourself, express your horizons. And since they're an air sign, just like all air signs, you better have your own friends too, because I'm going to have my own friends. So live in your truth, because I'm going to live in my truth. Now, since Sagittarius is in the 7th house, it has to be very conscious that Geminis learn to talk about the truth and speak the truth. Air signs can feel like they're more based on the social relatability, like why make things awkward? Let's just get along, that they're not always honest. Fire always on their 7th house for all air signs, not always honest and walking in their own self-expression, integrity, even if it means they throw people off. Because they're looking at, let's just get along, you're my friend, let's just keep this connection going. Whereas fire signs may still want connections, but they may feel like a struggle with connections is living in their truth while being with others. So it's very important that Geminis work in speaking their minds, walking in their truth, being aware of their truth, so they don't come into spaces where they fall into a lot of misunderstandings, spaces where they don't really feel well read. by their relationships, or where they just have to hide and be liars. Sorry for saying it that way. Yeah, so those spaces there, Sagittarius. Because Sagittarius wants you to come into spaces where you're allowed to share your truth, we're allowed to share your experiences, no matter how other people feel. Geminis, you will attract people like that, and it will ask you to build yourself in that way. And since Gemini is a youthful placement, it'll be very important that you are honest and open, especially to your family members and to your early upbringings, so you can live in your truth. Capricorn in the 8th house. One of your karmas for Gemini is 2s in life. So I've seen a lot in sessions where Gemini has experienced 2s. Boy, girl, 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 twins. 2 marriages, one in their youth, one in their later life, 2 points of the marriage that's obvious, where it could be like a child that does it, where they have older children, and then the second part of the marriage, they have like this younger child, like the second, I guess the marriage hits like 10 years, 20 years, they have like another child, which like shifts the marriage. But there's this energy of 2 major moves in their life, 2 major like transitions in their life, 2 major jobs in their life, the energy of 2s. There's also an energy with, there's also a karma with that married, like what I was saying before, the marrying twice. But there's a karma here because it feels like later in life for Geminis, they start to really balance out how do I really want to live? What is my real lifestyle? Prior to this, especially their Saturn return, they're living more in a mutable energy, quite clumsy. There's also a fascination with death or a fear of death. And this could be a space for Gemini where they're asking themselves, will I stay young forever? And how do I not let a lot of my dreams die? And what does old age mean to me? And since Saturn is an energy of family, this can also be a theme for them as well, where they start to build family, understand family, work on the conditions of family, especially the family that they procreate, marriage, and all those spaces more towards after their Saturn return. Now, since Saturn is in this house, you'd be surprised how depressive and emotionally intense, overwhelmed Geminis can feel. Them being talkative is really letting all that steam out. A quiet Gemini, a verbally repressed Gemini, is a struggling Gemini. So when there's Mercury retrograde natally in your place in your chart, or just certain spaces where Mercury seems stifled, this can bring mental development issues, personality issues, relatability issues, spaces where there's already a social issue, a motor skill issue. So it's very important that these spaces really work on these intense emotions. They really work early on journaling, expressing it, getting the words out there, even if it doesn't make sense, even if it's stumbling, talk therapy, because these placements can get pretty heavy. There's also a love of the occult. Deep love here. Now the thing with air energy, fire energy, it's still a space where you have to operate in your highest self, your confident self. Water and earth will work with more of their shames and maybe work with spaces where they're more in tune with, example, like I would feel like a fire and an air sign would still need things that motivate them, that lets them know that they're that girl, they're that dude, you know? Whereas water and earth can easily find power in their shames, meaning that it will be hard for an air and water sign to take public praise, to be publicly cocky, there's a shyness to them. a reservation to them, where with fire and air, there's naturally something around them, especially when it's in dominance, where they're not as shy. They're open to other people, showcasing themselves to other people, or being seen by other people. There's something more external. So Gemini energy, even though it has this talkative nature, there's still a depth. And there's a love of the occult, trying to figure out the occult, working with the occult. But since it is air, they may still like operate in ways where they're like, okay, I understand it, I know it, I've researched it, but how do I really integrate it into my life and understand it? Especially the parts that are a little scary, that is fun, don't really allow me to operate in something more flighty. How do I commit to this? So Geminis could be big know-it-alls, but now to integrate it into their lifestyles and become that, they may need more of an attention span. Aquarius in the 9th. Geminis are known for being radical thinkers. Many of our most controversial theorists are Gemini placements. This is what causes Geminis to be canceled a lot, exiled a lot. And they don't mind giving a perspective that alienates themselves or even others. And while this can sound like it's like a full-blown negative, through this, Geminis are known to build subcultures, communities. Mutables are very easy to build fans. People that want to know every day what they're doing, what they're launching. And Geminis, through their radical perspectives, can open up a lot of other people who want to build groups based on this person's radical perspective. I think of Kanye, I think of Tupac, I think of, who's the Gemini energy I could think of right now? Marilyn Monroe. I think, that basis there. They bring fans through their radical forms of thinking, living. They are speakers of the people. They're speakers of the people. I'm reading the notes. They're speakers of the people. And they're here to build networks, build communities, build spaces because they are speakers of the people. And remember, they're meeting all people from all different walks of life. So they're trying to build this big idea. And sometimes since I'm finding people from all different walks of life where they can find contradictions in their life. So it'll be Gemini that's like, never mind. Or I've gotten some more information. I need to reflect on this. And that's what can make them even changeable with the networks that they create. But also make them diverse in the networks that they create. And they're good at keeping a good directory of people who can offer assistance. Even if they're contradicting, like I spoke before. Since mutable energies are naturally service-oriented, they will attract naturally service-oriented people. People who want to help them just as much as they help people on the whim as well. And since Aquarius is in this energy, it'll be all different walks of life of people that may want to even assist them financially, socially. So Gemini can have a good phone book, black book. Pisces in the 10th. You have high ability, Gemini, to have creative and spiritual gifts. But you're still deconditioning a lot of those early childhood thoughts. So you can still be operating in self-doubt and perfectionism. So you're also someone that could hold many jobs or stay in one job because you're afraid of doing something, like leaving and not knowing what to do or not knowing what you're good at. Now, with Pisces also here, you're a chameleon. So you can have many jobs. You can do many things. You're great at your hands and do it yourself, mental energy. So if you're interested in something, you could learn it within a few weeks and hop on. It's just how long you stay interested in it. Now, you're also great at solving problems. You're solution-based. So you can be really good in technical support and technology. So right now, Gemini energy might be really looking into the tech world. Because Gemini is really good at putting gadgets together. Real Bob the Builder energies. But not because, like, two things. Yeah, they want to help you, but also they're interested in having another thing they could check off the list that they're good at, that they know. Aries in the 11th. In positive settings, you are a go-to friend or family member. You always have a new idea, and you're a great motivator of the people around you. There's also a sense of activism you want to do in some way in your community. You're very protective of the underdogs, and you're really strong at protecting your friends. So a Gemini will curse somebody out for you if they love you. Or they'll be the mastermind behind this friend helping defend themselves if they love you, right? Especially if they love you. Now, at some point in your your late 20s to early 30s, you'll experience one friend that goes to cold turkey on you. It is actually part of growth in your life. For you go through something, Gemini, where one of your best friends, your biggest ride or die, your buddy, just stops messing with you. And this is where it will reshape a lot of how you see people, view people. So if you have Gemini placements, where did you feel in your late 20s to your early 30s you had to really evaluate a best friend, a good friend, a longtime friend? And where did they use one of the biggest triggers to you? Communication. Now, you're not really as focused on long-term resources. You're mutable, so most mutables can be focused on the now. And also, you might have a parent that has already established a trust, a fund for you, even if it's through property or some sort of business venture. Gemini on the sun can really can build a close relationship with father, or a father that can assist you through some sort of work, a niche, especially if they don't feel like they can be really hands-on every day with you. So they'll give you like a job to do, or give you a shortcut. Taurus in the 12th. There's a part of Gemini that needs to work on balancing their strong inhibitions. Their mind is racing and their anxiousness is overcoming them, especially when they feel unsatisfied in life. And it's just important for them to operate in nature, go out there and just see where you can get this anxiousness, run around, roll around, especially mutable children, Gemini children. When they can find a comfortable state of mind and they're balanced, that's when the indulgences take place. With Taurus being in the 12th house, the house of escapism, and now putting Taurus, the space where it's just so stubborn in what it wants, substance abuse, binge living can be prevalent in Gemini's lives. There's a space where they know that they need to tell themselves no, but they don't say no. They've become too emotionally overwhelmed. They need that depth. Their mind is racing, so they have to grab onto it. They have to indulge in something. And that's why when they get to the first house, Gemini, they realize, I have to change my mind. I have to do something over. I needed more information. I need better guidance. So with Taurus being in the 12th house, great in having an overflow of information, stimulation, awareness, creativity. But when it feels stifled, where do you feel like you mentally go overboard? You emotionally, you socially go overboard, Gemini. You're also a lot of people's great place of tranquility, especially when you're giving them information, knowledge, and spaces where they can broaden their horizons. You are highly gifted in the spiritual realms and highly gifted in the relatable realms. There just needs to be all forms of knowing how to find moderation on all that sits here. And that's why childhood therapy and how you've learned to take in information, take in perspective, is going to be so important for you. So love is love. Thank you so, so much for allowing me to share this with you. And happy Gemini season.